Hello, hello, good morning. Let me get my technology together over here. And if you're watching this recording, feel free to skip ahead to get to the content for today. Okay. All right, there it is. Get this shared out to a few places. And when you're popping on, let me know who you are and where you're from so I can say good morning to you. There we go. Share this out to my page. Okay, so again, when you pop on, let me know who you are and where you're from so I can say good morning to you. And we're going to get this show on the road. Okay. Let me make sure you can hear me because I did this one time and I went the whole broadcast and my microphone was not on. Okay. All right, cool. You can hear me. Fantastic. So like I said, good morning and welcome. My name is Lysandra Everett. If you've never been on one of my live broadcasts, I want to welcome you. And again, when you pop on, say hey, let me know that you're there. And so I can say hello to you. So when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about tax topics. I am a tax professional. I am the home biz tax lady. I do specialize in taxes for home business owners. And that includes independent contractors as well. And, but I also talk about wealth building stuff, leadership stuff, just really how we can do this whole thing called life and business better together. Okay. All right. So today's topic is about getting letters from the IRS because now is the time of year where people are starting to receive letters. The end of tax season was April 18th. And so it takes them a couple of weeks to start to generate those letters. And so now between May, June, really, people are starting to get letters from the IRS. So that's why I wanted to to share this broadcast about what to do, because a lot of times people will panic. And so I'm just hoping that this will definitely help you out. So first of all, let's talk about why the IRS is sending you a letter. Now, before I even get started with that, let me say this. The IRS always communicates via snail mail first, okay? They do not call you, they do not email you or anything like that. They don't call you and tell you that you owe money and you need to pay it now or somebody's going to arrest you. All of those are scams. The IRS communicates by mail first, okay? And the reason I say first is because the only time they're going to call you is if there has already been some sort of correspondence and you know who you're corresponding with. So it's not going to be some random person that's going to be calling you from the IRS. Okay. So now let's talk about why the IRS will send you a letter. There are a few reasons. You either have a balance due, you are due a larger or smaller refund meaning that you're going to have to pay some money back. They've got a question about your return, which is the same as an audit by mail. They want to verify your identity because we've had, as far as identity theft at the IRS is concerned, it's just crazy the amount of people who receive letters is, when you go to file your return to say, hey, someone else has already filed a return with this social security number. So they want to verify your identity. They need additional information, meaning that you might have to substantiate a claim. One of the main reasons why you would be receiving a letter asking you for additional information, for instance, is if two people have claimed the same child for tax purposes. Okay, so you might need to provide some additional information to determine whether or not you can claim the child. That's just an example. Okay, they've changed your return, meaning that they have gotten some additional information. You may have omitted some income or something like that. They've changed your return. So they'll show you what you reported versus what they show for their record. So they'll do that. or they're going to notify you that there's some delay with your return. But generally, you know that going in if your return is going to take a while or not, for whatever reason. Okay, so now that you know why you're going to get letters, let's talk about what you do. Well, the first thing you do is read the letter. Okay, you'd be surprised at how many people will ignore a letter from the IRS. You do not want to do that. I know it can be a little frightening to receive correspondence from the IRS, but you definitely want to take the time to read the letter. It's going to contain lots of information. Like I said, if they've changed your return, they're going to show you what you reported versus what they have, or anything like that. Just read the letter first, okay? Don't throw it in the mail. Do not ignore the IRS. That is never a good idea. All right. Okay, so usually in that letter, they give you a date to respond by, and you definitely want to do that. You want to, and by doing that, you're going to, minimize any interest and penalties, and you will also, say whether or not you agree with this. Now, in this response, this is not something that you have to do on your own. Let me explain what I mean, because, if they've got a question about your return, you can go back to the preparer who prepared your return, or if you prepared your own return, then you can contact somebody like me who's an enrolled agent, or you can contact a CPA or a tax attorney. You can get somebody to help you in this response, okay? So you don't have to go it alone, especially if you're not quite understanding what the letter says. Because even though the IRS tries to be as, to try to be as clear as possible, sometimes you're really just not getting what's going on, with some of the codes and whatnot that they use. So you can go and get help, okay? You can definitely do that. Now, if they say that you owe, and you agree that you owe, for instance, if you filed your return, but you were not able to pay your liability, they're going to send you a letter that says, hey, you owe X amount of dollars, okay? And you have to pay by whatever. Even if you cannot pay the full amount, you want to pay as much as you can. You want to pay something, because anything that you don't pay is going to accrue interest and penalties. And and you don't want to do that, because that's more money out of your pocket. Now, if you don't agree that you owe, if you believe there is an error, then you really want to make sure that you respond to the IRS to let them know that you might be filing an amendment or something like that in order for you to reduce this liability. But if you do owe, and you owe, right, that the amount is correct, you want to pay whatever you can. And even if you can't pay the full amount, you can, there are other things that you can do, and you want to, either make a payment arrangement or submit an offer in compromise. And, it's in that negotiation with the IRS that sometimes people, again, because they're not familiar with the process and how to do it and what to agree to and all of that stuff, you really want to contact someone to get help. Okay. Now, the other thing that you want to do is you definitely want to keep copies of this. You want to keep copies. You want to make notes. You want to create a folder, just a simple manila folder or something. You want to write down, if you call the IRS, you want to write down who you talked to, what was the conversation about. You want to, even talking to a professional to be able to document what you talked about and all of that. You want to keep very copious records and notes in dealing with this, because you want to be able to defend yourself. Because here's the deal: when it comes down to the IRS, you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent. So that's why it's important for you to keep good records. Okay. Now, and keep copies of all letters, all notices. Even if you give a copy to someone else, you want to make sure that you keep a copy for yourself and keep track of this stuff. Because when it all boils down to it, you, the taxpayer, are responsible for what happens with the IRS. Whatever the outcome is, you are responsible for that. Okay. And then, make sure to, I can't stress this enough, to, either to get help in corresponding with the IRS, or make sure you respond to the IRS, because ignoring the IRS is one of the worst things you can do. this is not going to go away. If you've gotten a letter from the IRS and it's something that you don't agree with, or that, there's more work to be done, then you definitely don't want to ignore the IRS, because, the letter is the beginning of the process. And understanding that if you have a tax liability that you owe and you haven't paid and haven't contacted them, that's when they start to take those additional steps that we don't like to hear about, that we don't like to have our wages garnished or putting a lien on our property and any of that kind of stuff. Okay. So that's why it's important for you to, to correspond with the IRS. Don't hide or try to hide, because that just isn't going to work. Okay. So, so that's it. I mean, again, I get that getting a letter from the IRS can, really make your heart skip a beat or 5. But the thing you don't want to do, like I said, is you don't want to ignore it, and you want to get help. Okay. So like I said, somebody like me who is an enrolled agent, you can get a CPA, you can get a tax attorney, just depending on what it is that you need. Okay. So that's it. I cannot believe my phone is ringing right now. Hold on, let me turn that off, because that is disturbing. I never get calls this early in the morning. Okay, anywho, so that's it for me. So a few announcements. Starting June 5th, I will be broadcasting live from my fan page. So if you haven't liked my fan page, let me put that here. Okay, so let me put that for those that are watching the recording. Okay, so there is the link to my fan page. So go over and like my fan page. I'll be broadcasting live from there starting June 5th. All of next week, I'm going to be on vacay. So you might see some, some reruns. Yeah, hey, if Oprah can do reruns, so can I. So anyway, I'm going to be on vacation, and so hopefully I can tune in at some point and give you an update and let you know what's what. But anywho, so that's it for me. But but in the case of if someone gets a letter from the IRS, you need some help, make sure to, if you don't have anybody local to you, make sure to reach out to me, and so we can, definitely get you some help. Okay. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye.